I used to believe a best friend was someone who would guard your heart as fiercely as their own. That was before I met Mia. She wasn't just my friend. She was my sister by choice. The person I trusted with every private thought, every vulnerable confession. I told her everything, my fears, my dreams, the memories I had never shared with anyone. I believed our bond was unbreakable. But trust, as I learned the hard way, can be a dangerous thing in the hands of someone selfish.
This is Revenge by Fancy Home of Betrayal, Heartbreak, and Ultimate Payback. Subscribe and join a community that knows karma never forgets.
It started subtly. One afternoon, I confided in Mia about the struggles I had with my boyfriend, Alex. The insecurities I had, the late-night doubts, the moments I'd felt invisible. I thought she was listening to comfort me. Instead, she laughed, quietly at first, then louder, in front of friends I had never imagined could hear. "You're so dramatic," she said. "Why do you always make things about yourself?" I froze. The laughter echoed, sharp and unexpected. My secrets, my most private fears, were now entertainment. At first, I tried to let it go. I told myself she was joking. But the feeling of betrayal lingered, like a small cut that refused to heal. It became clear that Mia was using my trust as a weapon. Every confession I had shared became a tool for ridicule, gossip, or manipulation. She told others things I had only whispered in tears. She painted me as weak, overly sensitive, dramatic. The circle of friends I thought understood me suddenly looked at me differently, curiously, judgment ally, sometimes with pity. I stopped telling her anything. My heart recoiled from her presence. But she didn't notice. Mia thrived on secrets, she thrived on control. Instead of confronting her immediately, I observed. I catalogued every betrayal, who she told, what she said, and how it was twisted. Screenshots, voice notes, social media posts, casual remarks all became proof of her duplicity. I journaled. Every hurt, every thought, every realization I had. And as I wrote, I began to see patterns. Not just of her behavior, but of mine. I realized I had given too much. I had allowed someone else to hold power over my vulnerability. The anger that bubbled wasn't just toward her. It was toward myself for trusting blindly. But anger, I discovered, can be a tool, not just a reaction. I decided I wouldn't seek revenge in the obvious way. I wouldn't confront Mia publicly or yell. Instead, I would reclaim my power quietly, subtly, and irreversibly. I focused on my growth, on building walls around my heart without closing it entirely. I immersed myself in creative projects I had always wanted to explore: photography, design, writing. But the project that became my lifeline and my weapon was journaling. I realized that if secrets could hurt, then sharing the safe practice of writing them down could heal. I began creating journals for myself. Pages filled with prompts, reflections, and exercises for emotional clarity. Every time I wrote, I felt my power returning. The act of documenting pain, joy, betrayal, and ambition became a ritual of liberation. And slowly, I shared these journals with a small circle of trusted friends. The feedback was overwhelming. Women and men alike told me they had never had a safe space to process feelings, to reflect, to heal. I realized my betrayal could become a gift for others, a way to transform pain into purpose. Mia noticed the shift. I became calmer, quieter, more controlled. Her subtle digs and jabs no longer provoked me. She expected tears, arguments, public confrontations. Instead, I smiled, nodded, and walked away. "Why are you so calm?" she asked one evening. "You used to cry at everything." I smiled softly. "I write," I said. "It helps me see clearly." She scoffed. "Writing? That's so, you." And she had no idea. I began creating journals professionally. I studied design, marketing, psychology. I designed journals that guided users to document their secrets safely, explore emotions without judgment, and reflect on personal growth. The first few journals sold slowly. But every satisfied customer became a testament. My pain could create something meaningful and profitable. Mia couldn't understand it. She mocked my ambition casually, unaware that the seeds of my success were sprouting into something unstoppable. Through journaling, I rebuilt myself. I learned to recognize toxic behavior, establish boundaries, and validate my own feelings. The betrayal that had once felt like a wound became a mirror, reflecting how much stronger I had become. I began hosting workshops on journaling and emotional empowerment. Women confided in me, sharing their own stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. Each story reaffirmed my belief: pain can be converted into purpose. One afternoon, Mia tried to re-enter my life. She claimed she had changed, that she didn't realize how hurtful she had been. I listened quietly, my expression neutral. Inside, I felt the old anger, but it was tempered by wisdom and distance. "I forgive you," I said finally, softly. "But I've moved on. And I don't trust you to honor my boundaries anymore." Her eyes widened. This wasn't the dramatic confrontation she expected. This wasn't the emotional meltdown she thrived on. It was calm, controlled, untouchable. She left without another word. I expanded my journal business nationally. Online orders poured in. Women reached out to thank me for providing a space to express feelings safely. I created specialized journals for betrayal, grief, healing, empowerment, and self-discovery. Each journal became a quiet declaration: secrets are sacred, emotions are valid, power is reclaimed through self-awareness. Mia tried to follow my progress online. She left passive-aggressive comments, subtle digs about my success. I ignored them all. I had learned the ultimate lesson. The only validation I needed was from myself. Months later, I was invited to speak at a wellness and empowerment summit. The topic: turning betrayal into purpose. On stage, I told my story, carefully edited, of course. I described betrayal by a best friend, the pain of secrets used against me, and the path to reclaiming power through journaling and self-expression. The audience leaned in. Women nodded, tears in their eyes. Men listened in silence. When I said, "I took what hurt me most and turned it into something that heals," the applause was deafening. That night, I sat in my office, surrounded by journals, notebooks, pens, and the scent of paper. I reflected on everything: the trust one had lost, the betrayal I endured, the power I reclaimed. I realized the truth: Mia had never truly hurt me. She had only exposed the parts of me I hadn't valued enough, the parts one hadn't protected, the emotions I hadn't honored. And now, those emotions were my strength, my livelihood, my empire. Months later, I received a message from Mia. She claimed she wanted to reconnect, to apologize fully, to learn from me. I smiled. Calm, soft, untouchable. I typed one line back: "I hope you learn. I've already healed." I didn't need closure from her. I had already found it within myself. A year later, my journals were sold internationally. I had workshops, courses, and an online community of women and men learning to honor their emotions safely. Every journal sold, every story shared, every life touched, it reminded me of one thing: betrayal can be transformed into purpose, secrets into empowerment, pain into art. I didn't just survive Mia's betrayal. I thrived because of it. And every night, as I wrote in my own journal, I whispered. They used my secrets against me. I used my pain to create something untouchable. Peace, clarity, and empowerment. This time, no one could ever take it away.